It is the Blitz, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and the new ESPN San Antonio app. Live in the O'Reilly Auto Parts mobile studios, we are at the Watering Hole Beer Joint. It's a great beer joint on Fredericksburg Road. We're here until 7. Monday Night Football kicks off in less than an hour. At 6:10, you get the first game. The Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. Then, because it's the opener, you get a double dose of Monday Night Football. Later tonight, you get the Minnesota Vikings taking on the San Francisco 49ers. So you got still 2 more games of this NFL opening weekend.
It's been a pretty good weekend. It was, good weekend. Started on Thursday night with the kickoff. Patriots beating the Steelers. And then yesterday, some really good games. That overtime game, Seattle and St. Louis was probably the highlight of the afternoon yesterday.
I don't know about that. I think most people listening to us, the highlight is what happened last night at Cowboys Stadium. And that was the Cowboys' big win over the New York Giants. Frank Alosa in for that win. I'm Jason Minix, and let's talk about it with the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Garrett, joining us now, courtesy of AA Best Bail Bonds. Coach, congratulations on that win last night.
Thanks so much, guys. How you doing?
We are well, Coach, especially after a win. So, out of curiosity, what were you thinking when you saw Eli Manning throw that ball away on 3rd and goal?
Well, our thing, obviously, is just to focus on what we're doing, and we needed to stop there. And I thought our guys did a good job on 1st and 2nd down when they ran the football, stopping them and creating that 3rd down situation. And then, the biggest thing you need to do in that situation from our standpoint is try to put pressure on the quarterback. Barry Church did a great job defending who appeared to be the primary receiver, and we're able to get that stop and hold them to a field goal and keep it as a 6-point game, and then give ourselves a chance to come down there and score the game winner. And so it really was everybody was a piece of that. The defense getting the stop, and then special teams got us pretty good field position, and then Tony Romo and the offense did the rest of it. And it was a great team effort down the stretch to help us win that game.
Coach, were you anticipating a run on that 3rd down play?
Yeah, the big thing for us is just to focus on trying to get a stop. And obviously, they're down in there close. Running the football is a challenge to defend. Throwing the football is a challenge to defend when you sell out for the run. So, the biggest thing for us was to be sound in that situation and try to get a stop, and we're able to do it.
Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett with us here on ESPN San Antonio on the Office Furniture Express hotline. Coach, that final drive, the game-winning drive, Tony Romo, was he calling most of those plays? Was that Tony Romo directing that offense down the field?
Well, he and Scott Linehan have great communication in those 2-minute situations. And, the quarterbacks typically take the lead in that, but there's constant communication through the headsets, with them. And Tony and Scott work so well together in those situations. Tony has great command of the offense, and the way they talk throughout those situations is really impressive, and no different than other 2-minute situations we've been in. You always want to give the quarterback, you want to empower him to take charge of it, but the coach in the quarterback's headset can really be a great resource, and he and Scott work so well together.
And that drive, Coach, was a thing of beauty. That was probably as perfect a 2-minute drive as you could put together. How much time is spent in the lead-up to that game on 2-minute situations when you never know when you're going to be pressed into that type of situation?
Well, it's probably the situation we work on the most, just because it comes up so much in football. And if you look at our game yesterday, it's a good illustration. You could describe us as having 4 2-minute drives in that game yesterday, in one game. We had 2 before half. They didn't go so well. We turned the ball over on both of them, and then we had 2 at the end of the game, and they went much better. We were able to score touchdowns on each of those. So it's just something that comes up. You're either in a 2-minute situation or you're trying to defend a 2-minute situation. It comes up before the half. It comes up at the end of the game. It's such a big part of our game, and in so many cases it determines the outcome of the game. So, what we try to do as a coaching staff is put ourselves in that situation as much as possible throughout training camp and throughout our practice during the week to make sure that we handle those situations as well as we can come game time.
I got to say, Coach, when we were out in Oxnard, we saw you guys working on the 2-minute drill, and it almost looked like a carbon copy. I guess practice can make perfect, right?
Well, again, you're just trying to recreate them as much as you can. Put a different time on the clock, put a different score on the clock, put different timeouts in each of the team's hands, and then just see how everybody responds. And I just think it's such an important area, and you never can recreate exactly what's going to happen in the game. But if you try to put your team in a lot of different scenarios, so many different things will come up that you can learn from. And there were a number of things that happened at the end of that ball game that we can learn from, both good and bad, and we'll take that with us going forward. But I do think our guys handled it well to get the stop on defense, and then for us to come back on that last drive to have the game winner. Go the length of the field without any timeouts was impressive, and a real tribute to the guys on the offensive unit, how well they played together and communicated and executed.
Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett here on ESPN San Antonio, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Cowboys dominate time of possession in the game. Really, it felt like you dominated the entire game, 37-10 to 22-50 on the time of possession. Is this one of those kind of games, Coach, where coaches love it? You get the win, but you have so many things to show the guys on film where you had so many mistakes. I imagine at some points you were frustrated. You look up at the scoreboard and you were down, you felt like you were in total control?
Yeah, we obviously did a lot of good things in the game, but then we made these signature plays that really hurt us. And to turn the ball over 3 times, all in our own territory. One goes back for a touchdown, one goes to the 1-yard line, and one goes to the 22-yard line. We gave them 17 points, and they did a good job earning those. They did a good job taking the ball away from us, but you simply can't do that. And the statistics on the turnover ratio are really compelling in the NFL. And typically, if you're -3 in the turnover ratio, you lose about 90% of the time. And those stats go back a long way. So we understand that this is not the formula for winning. I do believe that the resiliency that our team had and the mental toughness it displayed and the relentless nature, I do think was one of the things that allowed us to overcome the situation we put ourselves in. Having said that, there were a lot of other good things that happened in the game in all 3 phases, and you have to build on that stuff, but we have to come back and rectify some of these issues, particularly those with the football.
Coach, it seemed like your defense, your front seven, was able to get some pressure and kind of keep Eli off balance at points in that game. Was that sort of the plan, keep him in the pocket but keep him moving so he didn't have his feet set?
Well, you always want to disrupt the quarterback every week. I mean, that's one of our goals is to make him uncomfortable and get him off his spot, so to speak, and make these guys feel pressure and people around them. So that's always an objective. They do such a good job getting the ball out of Eli's hand. He obviously has a good feel for what they're doing, and it's a quicker timing-based offense where they get the ball out and they rely a lot on the run after the catch, and Eli seems very comfortable in it. And one of the byproducts when you're doing that is it's hard to get to him. It's hard to get him off his spot and make him feel uncomfortable. But our guys kept banging away, and I do think at different times in the game we were able to get close enough to him where we affected him in a way that was positive for us.
Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett here on ESPN San Antonio. Obviously, injuries yesterday, 2 big ones, Dez Bryant and Randy Gregory. Let's start with Dez first. I know you released an offensive lineman today. There was some Twitter rumors that you guys were going to bring in another wide receiver, but how do you adjust to life without Dez for 4 to 6 weeks?
Well, Dez is a great football player, and he has a big impact on our football team every time he walks out on the field. And he was productive in the game last night. He was in and out of the lineup throughout the game, but when he got his opportunities, for the most part, he took advantage of them. And he's a guy that when our team breaks the huddle, the defense is looking for where he's going because they have to somehow, some way, try to slow him down. And they typically give him a lot of attention, and it's deserved because he's throughout his career has done such a great job making plays to make a difference in the ball game. So, we're not going to go out on the waiver wire and, okay, this guy's going to be Dez Bryant. That's not living in reality. But a big part of what we have to do is what we did last night is, we got to put another guy in there, whatever receiver it is on our roster, to play that spot, and then we all got to kind of rally around, and everybody's got to do their job and take some of the burden off of that role and that position that we've had on our football team, and I believe we can do that. I thought we did that last night. I thought everybody understood just the concept of next man up and focus on what we can control and lock in on that and do that to the best of our ability. I thought we did that as a team, and it was challenged more by the absence of Dez, but that's a big part of what you have to do when you lose a guy at Dez's caliber.
And again, obviously, there is no other Dez Bryant out there available either on your roster or out there sitting on the couch somewhere. But I did like the way you guys incorporated Lance Dunbar. Out of curiosity, with those short passes to Lance Dunbar, and that role might be a little bit more with Dez not being in there, do you consider that a part of the run game, kind of helping the Cowboys in that run game? All the talk about what you guys are going to do without DeMarco Murray, or do you look at those passes to Dunbar as part of the passing game?
I think you look at him as part of the passing game, but anytime you can get the ball to one of your running backs, whether you hand it to him, you pitch it to him, or you throw it to him down the field, those guys almost by definition are the best runners that you have. So you're always trying to give them opportunities, and Lance does such a good job running routes out of the backfield. He's got a good feel for how he wants to run a route against a guy to beat him, but also just a good feel for where his route is in the scheme of things. And he's always very productive when we give him opportunities, and that was no different last night. I just thought he made a number of big plays in the game for us. Certainly on that last drive to get us started, he was the most significant contributor. So he's an awfully good football player, and we're lucky to have him.
Hey, Coach, one last thing. And we know that Randy Gregory was the other one with the significant injury. It seems like some sort of an ankle injury. Any status report on him, and your thoughts on how he played last night in his first NFL game? I thought he looked pretty good rushing the passer.
Yeah, he was productive, and he certainly was a factor in the game, both defending the run and also pressuring the quarterback. And he's a talented guy. He's got great quickness and explosiveness off the ball. He's got a good feel for rushing the passer. I think we saw a lot of evidence of that during the preseason, and we saw it again last night. He only played 18 snaps in the game, but I do believe he did make an impact on the game, with his play, particularly when he was rushing the quarterback. So we anticipate him being out for, they say 2 to 4 weeks as an initial diagnosis. He looks like he has a high ankle sprain, so hopefully he'll heal quickly, and we'll get back out there and get ready to go again.
Tony took that shot to the back, no penalty on it. He talked about getting speared in the back in his post-game comments, and then after I saw the video, I'm surprised there wasn't a flag. Always concerning anytime you see a shot to Tony's back. How is he feeling today?
Oh, I bet he feels pretty good. Anytime you play a game like that, you wake up and it's a good soreness. So, he did get hit a couple times in the ball game, but Tony's a tough guy. He's a sturdy guy, and don't anticipate any issues with him this week.
Jason Garrett, Cowboys head coach here on ESPN San Antonio, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. You've got Philadelphia next week. All the talk about the Eagles and the Cowboys, who's going to win the NFC East. They're playing on Monday Night Football tonight. So do you go hang out with the guys, other coaches, and watch the game tonight somewhere like most fans do, or are you just going to wait till you get the cut-ups in the office?
Well, we're going to be in the office, and typically we don't watch the Monday night game. But because our opponent's playing in the Monday night game, we'll probably all watch it. We'll have some work going on our desk, and we'll have a TV watching the game. That's not really standard. Typically, we're watching film the next opponent. But this is really the best film that we have at this point, this being the first week of the season. So I'm sure we'll all have it on. We'll be doing our work and really trying to get a good feel for their football team. They had some changes this off season, so we got to kind of get caught up on the new guys, and just you want to start your preparation as soon as you can. The only information we have now is working off of their preseason tape and their stuff from last year. So it'll be fun to see this game tonight and get ready for the challenge this week up there in Philly.
Coach, always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week after you guys improve to 2-0 on the season.
Okay, guys. Have a great week.
Appreciate it. Coach Jason Garrett, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds every Monday at 5:15 here on the Blitz.